Hey yo, what is up fam? So in the next two videos, I'll be sharing with you guys my two most important changes that I made to my photography a few years ago that really helped me to pick it up a level or two. So about 2 years after picking up a camera for the first time, I realized that there were two things that I was doing wrong in camera that were ruining a lot of my photos and were keeping me from creating consistency throughout my workflow. What is consistency in photography? It's basically your ability to be able to create and repeat a look intentionally, like you know what settings to dial into your camera and be able to repeat that look over and over again. So change number one to my photography is I changed the way that I use white balance. I'll be honest, in the beginning, just like most everybody out there, I started off using automatic white balance. And that was okay, except for the fact that I started to see a lot of inconsistency in my work. Like there were some big color shifts going from one photo to the next photo in a series in one single shoot in one single lighting condition, and I just wasn't happy with that at all. For the most part nowadays, all my cameras pretty much live on a white balance of 5500K. I find that to be a pretty neutral white balance for me, and then I can just adjust later on in post. I work a lot outdoors in natural daylight, which daylight falls at around 5500 degrees on the Kelvin scale. Also, I use a lot of external lighting like flashes and LED lights, which are also set to around 55 to 5700K, so still around daylight balanced. And even if you set your white balance manually and you don't get it 100% right in camera, it's okay, just as long as you are shooting in one single lighting condition and the light doesn't change around too much and you stay under one fixed value. For example, you stay on 5500K and you don't move your white balance in camera from there. It's a lot easier to adjust and correct your white balance in post as you edit, and it's also a lot easier to match all your shots together in a sequence than if you use automatic white balance. You're gonna spend a whole lot more time trying to match one photo to look like the next photo in a single session. For example, let's take a look at these two shots that I took a few years back from a nighttime Halloween / fitness photo session, where my main light was an LED constant light with a color temperature of 5600K. Around this time, I was pretty knowledgeable on the exposure triangle. I knew how to use aperture, shutter speed, and ISO in correlation with each other, but I had very minimal knowledge on how to set white balance. And as you can see, here are some of the inconsistencies that I'm talking about when you use automatic white balance. If you take a look at this shot, look at the model's skin. It has more of a pinkish tone compared to this shot, where there's more of a greenish tone on the skin. Also, look at the floor. On this shot, you can see that the floor is more of a neutral, natural color, closer to what your eye sees under a light that has a color temperature of 5600K with white balance appropriately set. Whereas this shot, the ground, same scene, but the ground looks kind of like bluish. So that's just something that happens when you use automatic white balance. So take my advice today, make that change and apply it to your photography, and you're gonna have more consistent results. Get out of automatic white balance and start setting it manually. Join me on the next video, part 2, to find out what my next biggest change was.